This is the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining me on this episode of Coming Home with John Allen. I am John Allen. You know that, though. You've been here before. I want to remind everybody that if you look in the description of this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a podcast platform, you will see several links that you can click into if you'd like to support the work that I'm doing. I'm also working on setting up a newsletter. I would like you all to join that newsletter, and that will also help you to stay updated with the work that I'm doing. I want to talk about the current and probably the most important, it's at least the most fun project that I've ever done. I'm in the middle of writing a book. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I want to talk a little bit about that writing process. What I'm doing is, of course, there's such a thing as audiobooks, right? And when I'm finished, there will be an audiobook version. But what I'm doing is, right now, while I'm still in the writing process, the book isn't finished yet. What I'm doing is I'm writing a chapter. I'm not editing that chapter. I take it as it is, and I go on this microphone, and I read in that chapter, put it into post-production, make an MP3 file out of it, and I'm putting it into a subscription that will soon be available to all of you who would like to hear it. Now, what's different about that? I think the major thing that's different about that is it's unedited. It's as I have written it with no editing, no thought after writing. Of course, I put thought into it before and during the writing process, but there's no thought afterwards. I immediately read in that chapter, put it into the MP3 format, and I'm putting it out there for the subscription, the upcoming subscription. Pretty bold, huh? I don't know if it's bold. Well, yes, it is bold. As a songwriter, as a musician, I always get nervous when I release a new song or when I write a new song for another artist. I get very nervous about that. Some people would say that's a form of the manifestation of imposter syndrome, that you don't feel worthy. You don't feel like you are good enough or your work is not good enough to put out there on display or out there for consumption of others. I don't know if that's what that is. I don't know if it's just the anticipation of what that response will be, whether it's positive or negative. I don't know what that is, but I get very nervous before I release a song. And this writing process, because of what I'm writing about, I'll just say this, it's a memoir of sorts. So if you're curious at all about how I came to be, where I am, and who I am, then this book is for you. But also within that book, it's not just a documentation of my introspection on my whole life. I think there's moments in there that everyone can benefit from, not because it's an exceptional story. I think it's a well-written story, but the story in itself, the story of my experiences, are common experiences. I know that there are people out there who have things in their life that they wish they could address. And maybe this book that I'm writing can help people address certain things in their life that they have desired to address but haven't been able to. Now, I'm not saying I'm better than anyone. All I'm saying is that I have taken the leap and I'm writing about things that I've wanted to write about for years, and it feels great. Let me tell you, it feels great. I want to say that everybody out there, all of you listening, all of you watching, you have a story as well. If you want to take that plunge and start writing it, I think you should just do it. I thought about this for years, 10, 12 years. I've thought about doing this. I've had a few starts and stops, but now it's the real thing. And I wanted to get to that. I think, like I say, this is the real thing. This is my genuine effort to write this book. I am writing this book. I've come very far in the writing process. But I think that by setting up this subscription and putting it out there for people to hear me read in these chapters of my book before it's even finished, I think that's going to push me to write even more consistently. It's gonna give me yet another reason to stick with this project. The main reason for me sticking with this project is because I love it. I'm having so much fun writing this. Now, that's not to say that at times it's difficult. There's sometimes when I'm writing a chapter, I can barely get through it because of the emotions. You'll know what I'm talking about, I think, when you start listening. If you subscribe and you start listening, it's not an easy process, but within that struggle is a lot of, for me, uplifting moments. So it makes me feel good, and that good feeling, that feeling of laying down a burden, it's fun. I like feeling like that. Who doesn't like to lay down a burden? You know, some people like picking up a burden. You know, I'm a power lifter, so I like picking up burdens as well. But it's very fun to lay them down again. So I invite you to jump in on this subscription. There will be a link at the bottom or in the description of this podcast episode. There'll be a link where you can click in to subscribe to my newsletter. And then within that newsletter, as soon as the subscription is ready, you'll be notified. You'll see a very clear link where you can click in and jump in on that subscription. How much does a subscription cost, you may ask? It's only $4 a month. It's only $4 a month. That money, by the way, will be funding towards the release of the paperback and hardcover version of this book. So, and you're getting something back in that those who subscribe to the newsletter and to the subscription of me reading each chapter will have the opportunity to get the hardcover and paperback at a discounted price. So there's something in it for you besides the entertainment value. So this is a very short and informative podcast, but I think it's an important one. I want you people to know what I'm doing. I want to let you know that you don't have to follow me on social media. Of course, do that. You'll see where you can do that also in the description of this episode. But you don't have to do that. If you sign up to the newsletter, that's where you want to be if you want to know everything that I'm doing and then some. Okay? There's going to be things there that are not available on my social media. Okay? So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening so far. And I hope to see you on that subscription. I hope to be able to share my book writing journey with you. Okay? Go out there, love and be loved, and enjoy the process. Take care now.